Hi, I'm Tricia Morris from Club Scrap, and today's project is to assemble the 8 beautiful pages with the Hooray Kit. So this is a really happy festive collection. Let's set aside everything except the paper items, and you can set aside these little goodie bags, the charms, the little rhinestone buckles, and the stencil. I'll show you how to use the stencil a little bit later. I am also, to stay organized today, using my infamous accordion pocket file. So we've got a pocket for every double page spread. If you don't have this, reach out to us at Club Scrap. We'll help you get set up to make one of these for yourself. And in the meantime, just separate all of the items into 4 piles instead of 4 pockets. So let's sort out our pre-cut photo mats here. These are trimmed to 4 1/4 by 6 1/4, and they help us mat our 4 by 6 photos. So we're going to take 1 blue photo mat and put it in pocket 1 and 2, as well as 3 green mats. So all 3 of the green, pocket 1 and 2. And then we have 2 more blue mats going into pocket 3 and 4. Let's see, 3 yellow going into 5 and 6, and 3 black going into 7 and 8. Next, let's prepare the papers in the order that they're going to be used. We'll start out by trimming the black print. Oh my gosh, this is just so pretty. So take this one and just put it face down on your trimmer base, followed by the big dot print. That's really fun too. Face down on that one. Let's take 1 blue plain and then 1 black plain. And then you've got a cut apart here. Let's find the one that has those cute little banners across the edge, followed by the other one that has the pink banner going across. I love how colorful this kit is. It's just so happy and cheerful. Next, let's take 2 green plains. Those will be bases for pages. And then a black print, that face down, followed by a black plain. Then the dot print, a blue plain, and 2 yellow plains should be your last 2 pieces. Okay, so all of that is in reverse order, so just flip it back over so that the black piece we started with is right on top. And let's get trimming. I, of course, am using my Fiskars guillotine style trimmer. If you don't have this, you do need one to optimize your success with our little philosophy here. Okay, so let's put this print right side up into the trimmer, and we're going to trim this at 8. And then 5 1/4. So if you're new to this trimmer, just make sure your paper's resting up here. And then when you have to add to a number like 5 1/4, go 1 vertical column to the left for every quarter. So 5 1/4 is right there. And this piece can go into pocket 1 and 2. We usually have these long 12-inch pieces. Be mindful that this is only 12 inches wide. So when you file these larger pieces, do it at an angle so you can still see the numbers on the left edge of the pockets. And then this narrower strip here from the print, this goes in pocket 3 and 4 at an angle. And then this other remaining piece back in 1 and 2. Okay, let's cut the dot print. Now, if you want to add it, if you want to do it exactly the way I did it, and you don't have to, but this large teal colored dot should be in the middle on the right. That's kind of your landmark dot here. We're going to trim at 9 and 3. Okay, so the 2 narrow pieces that we made, they're the same size. Those are going to go in 7 and 8. And then this larger midsection here goes in 5 and 6. So far, pretty easy, right? Let's take the blue plain, which is next in our pile. Make sure you just have 1 sheet. It is a nice heavier weight. And we're going to cut at 11 3/4. So that's a really big number that will result in a very tiny little piece. 11 3/4. 11 1/2. Another tiny piece. Then 10, 9, 8, and 4. Now take the 4-inch piece in your trimmer base, rotate it, and cut at 6. Notice how all the pieces that we were trimming just pile up. That's what we want. We want those pieces to be stacked up the way they land. So try not to move anything as you're trimming. Take one of these pieces and put it in 5 and 6. They're both the same. And then the other one, 7 and 8. Okay, now pick up the next piece. This is also a 4 by 12, and we'll trim at 9, 6, and 3. All right, you've made a bunch of pieces that are the same as well here. 2 of them go in pocket 1 and 2, and the others go in 5 and 6. Then pick up all the remaining strips and deal them out. So this 1-inch strip goes in pocket 1 and 2. The next one and the wider one, both of these go in 7 and 8. These 2 skinny ones, 5 and 6. Okay. Scooting right along here to the black. We're going to also trim this at 11 3/4, 11 1/2, then 10 1/2, 9, and 6 1/4. Rotate this large piece and we'll trim at 8 1/2 and 4 1/4. So we just made 2 pieces that should be the same size, and then there's another one, a rectangle, slightly shorter. All of them go into pocket 3 and 4. And then pick up the next strip, and we're going to trim horizontally at 11, 8 1/4, 5 1/2, and 2 3/4. All right, we made a bunch of squares, and then there's a little piece. So the three of these squares, those are going to go in pocket 3 and 4. And then this other final square, 7 and 8. And then this little rectangle we're using in 3 and 4. Pick up the remaining strips. Let's get those filed. So this largest one, 3 and 4. Then you have a 1-inch strip. That's also 3 and 4. And then these 2 really skinny strips go in 7 and 8. Okay, so at this point, gather up all of your scraps and you can put those away. Oh, wait, there are no scraps. Isn't that the best? I mean, I didn't have a single X. So an X on a diagram indicates something wasn't been used, and everything has been used. Now we are on to the Cutaparts. Newbies, listen up. Okay, so if you look at the outside corners of this artwork, you're gonna find these little plus signs. Those are actually cutting guides. And what I want you to do is just remove anything past that little mark. And it's gonna include the whole perimeter of the piece. We'll have a little section shaved off the edge there. So now I'm gonna look for that little plus sign here. Line it up with the edge of my blade, check if the top and the bottom, and then rotate and just keep working your way around the print until all of those edges have been cleaned off, and you should, if everything went according to plan, have a nice 12 by 12. Sometimes on the first cut, I go a little shy on it, and then I come back and clean it up on my last trim. And I love how this trimmer is capable of just taking off a tiny little hair if necessary. You can throw those little bits away, and now I have a nice 12 by 12, and I'm going to place it in the trimmer so that these banners are on the right. And we'll go ahead and do our first cut at 10 3/4, and then 10 1/4, and again, keep letting everything pile up. 9 3/4 is next. Basically, you're just separating all these elements, and we really do try to have these cuts land on the nearest 1/4 inch. So now we're moving down to 7 1/4 and 3 3/4. Okay, then I let everything pile up, rotate. You've got a black reverse sentiment here. I just want to celebrate should be on your right. We'll trim at 11, 8 1/4, 5 1/2, 2 3/4. And I'm going to give you one little tip here. I usually get 1 or 2 tags in my Cutaparts that Jacqueline designs that have a tag shape, and you can quickly create that with your trimmer just by eyeballing. So take the angled corner and line it up with the edge of the blade and make sure you match the margin width from the other sides. It's usually about 1/8 of an inch. Bring the blade right down to the paper without trimming it, and then make a fine-tune adjustment if needed. Once you feel like you've got that angle right, go ahead and chop it off. Now I have a nice tag shape here. This piece is used in layout 5 and 6. Then we have a vertical tag. Of course, you would do the same thing on that, 1 and 2. The more the candles, this one goes in 1 and 2 also, and then this piece goes in pocket 5 and 6. And then you have the I Just Want to Celebrate. We're using that in 7 and 8. This next piece, we're going to trim horizontally. The words happy candle blowing should be on the right, and we'll cut at 9 and 6. Now I just grab some scissors, and if you want to do a real quick just trim out here, all these balloons, all 3 of them are used in pocket 1 and 2. Then we've got some candles. The blue one, I used that in 1 and 2. The green one I used in 3 and 4. And the cupcake, 7 and 8. And in between trimming this out and completing my pages, I lost the green candle. So I didn't use it, but I would have if I had realized it was missing. So somewhere you can incorporate this green candle. Okay, then Life is Better When You're Laughing. That's 1 and 2, and Happy Candle Blowing Day is 7 and 8. Now let's pick up the next strip here. Make sure Cheers is on your right, and we'll cut at 10, 7 and a half, 5, and 2 and a half. All right, Friday, this goes in 3 and 4, and the cake, 7 and 8, and Yay, and the martini glasses, or, you know, cranberry juice glasses, pocket 3 and 4, and Cheers, 5 and 6. Okay, what's next here? We have these 2 narrow strips, both going in 5 and 6. The banners are used in layouts 7 and 8. And now we need to repeat this with the next sheet of Cutaparts. Go ahead and remove those corners. You can put me on pause while you do that. And just, you know, for my beginners out there, I know you're out there because a lot of people have been joining recently. You can slow down the playback of the video by hitting your gear button in the lower right side of your screen, and then hit playback settings. You can slow me down to like 0.75, and that will make this a little bit more slow for you. Okay, so now I've got a strip along the right edge here that I'm looking for. Make sure that's on your right, and we'll go ahead and cut at 11 and a quarter, and then 10, 9 and a quarter, 8 and a half, 7 and a quarter, and 4. Give that a rotation. Do what you love. Right over here, we're going to cut at 11 and 5 and a half. Okay, this is used in pocket 5 and 6. And then 1 and 2. This little narrow guy, 7 and 8. On the next strip here, we'll trim at 11 and a half, 8 and 3/4, and 6. All right, this guy's used in pocket 3 and 4. The journaling prompt with the cake, 7 and 8, as well as this other cake image, 7 and 8. And then this little skinny guy, 3 and 4. Pick up all the remaining strips. We'll file the Friends one into 3 and 4. Life should not only be lived, it should be celebrated. No kidding. 7 and 8. Hip hip hooray, 1 and 2. These stripies, 1 and 2, and then the other aqua stripped border, 3 and 4. Okay, that marks the conclusion of the trimming phase of the operation. So that means all the papers you need for all 8 layouts are ready to go. Let's get rid of our trimmers and then prepare to do some dry fit assembly. When I say dry fit assembly, I mean we're not going to be using adhesive right now. We're just going to be placing the pieces on the appropriate pages, make sure everything's where we want it to be. And then when you go back, you can glue everything down on your own, because there's nothing more boring than watching someone glue something on camera. Okay, so the entire stack of remaining papers will be placed to the left of the center of my workspace, and then take the top sheet, which should be green, and slide it to the right. And that's going to give me the base of layouts 7 and 8. And the reason we're doing 7 and 8 first is because we're going to work backwards so that layout number 1 ends up on top of the stack, and you can go back and finish the assembly on your own. Now, I'm going to take everything out of the pocket labeled 7 and 8 as well. So we'll work from the back to the front of our accordion pocket file. And this should be pretty easy assembly. I'll give you some tips along the way here. The piece with the yellow dot, and again, this is if you want to do it exactly the way I did. It doesn't matter which piece goes where, just telling you where I put them. And then we have the other strip flush with the top edge on the left layout. Then I like to do some nested borders. So we're going to take this black, really thin piece of black, I call that a paper ribbon, and it's going to go right up next to the edges of these 3x12s. Then take the wider aqua strip here, this blue, and bump that up against that, and then you can add the banner. 2 vertical mats should fit nicely in this area. You can either do them straight or tilted. And then we've got a horizontal mat here. Let's see, actually there's a nested border strip, this blue, along with the sentiment here. Then you got this black mat, and you should be able to nest it with the blue one. Then happy candle blowing day, and then you can have another little quote up here to balance that out, or you could just place images here as well. I used mainly just 4x6s, and if you have a lot of photos, you'll need to supplement over some of this artwork. Here, and again, like here, you could put a picture in this spot as well. Those 2 pieces go there. The cupcake gets nested, or I'm sorry, the birthday cake gets nested onto the black, and you can anchor that here. Then you've got this one of these little mini treat bags, so cute. That can go down here with these 2 elements fussy cut from the parent sheet. Now on this layout, you have this area right here. Again, it could be a home for a photo, especially if you are photo heavy on an event. A lot of times I find I don't take a lot of pictures at parties. I'm having too much fun. So if you have like the birthday girl, you know, in a group photo, that might be all you have. Then you can, proceed with some of these steps to decorate your page. For that, I used the stencil. Let me show you how this works. I like to take something to protect my work surface, because I tend to go off the edge. And then I'm just going to make a little pencil mark on my layout to indicate where the top edge of this piece is going to live approximately, just so that I can kind of keep track for my placement. Now the stencil is designed as an overlay. So you've got some words here that I use later on. And then you have a shape, you have a shine shadow, and then you have a pattern. So this one has 2 pattern choices, and this balloon has 2 more pattern choices. Let's start with this oblong balloon shape. I'm just going to place it in this corner right about here. And I'm going to use our fuchsia ink. And I'll try an applicator brush. So I'm going to pick up some of the ink with the brush. So a light shading of that ink is applied. And then I can visually line up the pattern, the striped pattern in this case. And if you want to use a contrasting ink or the same ink, that's entirely up to you. You can then apply, and it right away adds that. Isn't that fun? And I can even then go and add this element. I am going to use a little a sponge applicator. We used to carry these, but and they were made in the US, but we ran out of inventory and are unable to get these made. But a smaller application brush of some kind might be more helpful in a spot like this. Okay, so there's your little shadow. Isn't that sweet? Okay, so then you can do the same thing with these other layers if you want to have them overlap or go off the edge or tilt or angle. You can do whatever you like. Off the edge of the page a little. Now at this point, you don't have to go to this level, but you could pierce a hole on either side of the bottom of this balloon shape and grab some string or some twine or some cord. I happen to have this white waxed cord here. We do carry this at Club Scrap. And if you wanted to, you could thread it onto a needle. And I mean, this is kind of really kicking it up a nice notch here, but it's totally optional. And then if you enter on one side of that hole and leave a really short tail, or a pretty short tail that is, come back in the other neighboring hole, you can then tie a little knot. Maybe trim off a short, and then just bring this tail down to below your pencil line. That way you have a string on your balloon. You can do the same for the remaining 2 balloons, and then you've got a little fun, completely homespun embellishment for your page. So that is that fun overlay stencil. Again, it's all optional. It's something you can use again and again to create cards or other fun stencil projects. So keep that in mind. Now, let me show you the rest of the finishing touches on this layout here. So here is the 3 attached balloons with the this attached with foam adhesive. Now, do you notice how these corners are clipped? The secret to that is honestly a 1-inch circle punch or your scissors. So you can literally line up the round shape of the circle punch with the edge of the art and then back out about 1/8 of an inch, and then you can take off that corner. It kind of just has the perfect radius. The 1-inch circle punch radius matches the radius of this little decorative corner element. An alternative is just to leave it square. It's totally up to you. Let's see, I don't think there are too many other special touches. Maybe just this is attached to the bag flat, and then you got foam adhesive layering on top of this. And you could, if you wanted to, like cut some paper to slide it in there just for something attractive, or actually use it for some sort of memorabilia. Okay, then on the other layout next to it, I did some fun things here with that rhinestone buckle and this cool ombre edged ribbon here. This is a nice chiffon. Just thread it through the buckle and then wrap the ends around to the back. So the buckle can slide, you know, wherever you want it to be on here. So that's the left anchoring, and then you've got your foam adhesive square attachment over here on the right. Fun layouts, right? Okay, let's slide now. Everything on this side. So layout number 7, the base is green. I'm going to pick up just the green and slide it on top of 8. And then take the next sheet and slide that as well. And now I have the base for layouts 5 and 6. I will take everything out of the pocket labeled 5 and 6. I like to hold all the elements in my left hand, which is my non-dominant hand. And that way it's easier to get the pieces distributed than it would be if you were picking each one up off the tabletop. Now I did measure and center this. So if 3 inches from the bottom edge, which is the width of our grid ruler, by the way. So if you're using our 3x14, you can just lay it across the bottom edge of the layout and then glue this into place. It'll be perfect. Then above and below that, I'm going to do my little paper ribbon trick. So lay the light blue above and below this. Then above and below that, this fun little dotty border. And what that does is brings in the pattern from the right side of the layout, which I kind of liked. I left a little space between all of these pieces to make it look like they were even, like these were matted with black, but it's really just the base of the paper shining through. You can oval cut this with scissors, which is what I did, and place that on the left there. And then I've got a yellow mat here, and here, and here. I used the other mini treat bag with the serrated edge and this little spot, and added the cheers and a charm to that. We have these cute little joy charm. So that was added. I tied a little string to it. This should nest on top of the yellow. And then you have two mats, one for each tag. So I've got a few tips I'm going to share with you here. If you are kind of handy with a craft knife, a fun suggestion is to just cut a little tiny wedge into the top of the tag. And my wedge itself is about 7/8 of an inch wide, and so is the ribbon. So then I could thread the ribbon through that little slot and then tape the ends on the back. And what I like about this is it doesn't really add any, you know, bulky dimension to the layout. I did attach the tags with foam adhesive and mimicked that angled edge on each of these mats, because as you see, they start out as a rectangle and then you can just clip off those corners once you get it nested. So that's all there is to it on this layout. Alternatively, you could just tape the folded piece of ribbon or staple it if you don't really feel like going to the extra effort to create this look with the craft knife. That's completely optional. Then on the left side here, you can see this was just scissor cut, very easy. Mount this with foam adhesive. I added a loop of ribbon to the back of the Cutapart before I attached it. And there's the ribbon tied onto the joy charm, or string rather, the same cord that I used for the balloon strings. And then I stenciled hip hip hooray. So the word hip and the word hooray is both on the stencil. So I just did it twice in white and then the hooray in white. And it fit so perfectly. I loved that. Now moving on, we'll slide layout number 5 on top of 6. So that's just the black base, and then slide this on over, and that gives me the base for layouts 3 and 4. So I use the piece with the like bright teal dot in the upper right corner, but you know, again, it doesn't really matter. I'm gonna grab everything out of pocket 3 and 4, and let's begin. How about we take this guy, and he's gonna go like vertically. If you add your 2 horizontal photo mats, this will be directly to the left of those, kind of framing them in to make a little box around these pieces. Then above that, I did stretch some of this really nifty fringed ribbon all across. I mean, this ribbon's got a lot going on. So you got a grosgrain texture, you've got the silver metallic fringe and the silver woven into the ribbon. And let's just top that all off with the buckle. So when you use that, just go from the back over that little center area and then back through. I love these because it adds so much without any effort, right? So now I have this cute little rhinestone embellishment, and I actually had it on the right here. Now above that, you're going to add a wider black strip nested with this page title. I love how the Cutaparts finish off your pages without having to come up with your own title. I think that's one of my favorite things about Cutaparts. Now this skinnier black rectangle should nest this large Cutapart here for placement down on the left. Then on the right side, we're going to anchor the bottom half. That kind of mirrors what's happening here. We're going to do it down here and nest 2 horizontal blue. Fun fact, we had to change the color blue in this kit many times due to strange things happening in the paper industry right now. So I'm just thankful we had a paper we could use. Then a row of 3 of these black squares. You can nest it with Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and yay, a journaling prompt with another image here. Now, the green fussy cut candle is placed with foam adhesive right on top of that cupcake in the lower left corner. Now, always order extra sprinkles, and this piece. What I did is cut these each individual word from the piece and matted it onto the black and cut out those mats. And I will show you how that looks in a moment. Now, on the right side, again, this is layout number 4. All I did was clip the corners of all of these. Again, that's optional. It does take a little bit of time, so if you're not in the mood for that, just skip that step. And then add with foam adhesive the Cutaparts. On the left side now, you can see my cute little rhinestone buckle in action. Again, the ends are taped around to the back. I topped off the box with that cute little joy charm. And then there I added the candle with foam adhesive. And then always order extra sprinkles. You can see I just matted each individual word. I did it with scissors and eyeballed it. I didn't use a craft knife or anything. So it just kind of gave it this lighthearted feel in that spot. And that is 3 and 4. Okay, now I'm going to pick this up and slide it on over. Pick up the yellow, slide 1 sheet, and now I have the base for layouts 1 and 2. And guess where I need to go now? Pocket 1 and 2. Get everything out of there. This was a nice, easy set of pages, I think, and you can decide how easy you want them to be and whether or not you do the stenciling and such. Now this large piece goes flush along the left edge, and then you can nest up this sweet little candy striper. And then on the right, we have this other strip. This one, I didn't shove it all the way up to the edge. The determining factor will be the width of this green photo mat. So wherever this is, just give it a little air. Nest the blue with this Hip Hip Hooray strip, and below that you're going to have 2 vertical blue mats with 2 tags. And again, you've got your angles. So first you would trim, you could leave them like this, or add your angles to the tag, adhere to the blue, and then trim those angles as well to make that tag shape. This is going to go up here in this area, a horizontal blue, and then 2 vertical green. This last piece goes right here. The candle, same size, so you can overlay it with some foam adhesive to add some dimension to this. Then you got the 3 balloons. So you can fussy cut these. Again, completely optional. Let me show you how I finished up those on the right. So much fun. I loved this. So I just trimmed them out and I taped the cord, the same exact cord I've been using all along. You can use, again, twine, wax linen thread, or this waxed cord. And I added this one flat, and then these 2 with foam adhesive to give it some dimension, and then kept those threads long and just tied them in a knot down over here. For the tags, I punched a hole. So this is another alternative. You could, rather than using your craft knife to cut a slot, just use a punch and punch a hole through the layers. And all I did was wrap it with a small piece of that double-faced yellow satin. Here's that foam candle, so sweet. And then the joy charm wrapped with, or tied with a bow of waxed cord. And on the left, literally no dimensional embellishment bothered with here. Just add your elements and then finish with your photos and you're good to go. Yeah, that's it. That was layout 1. So we really blasted through all that pretty quickly. We still need a home for this little guy. We can add that anywhere. I hope you enjoyed this theme and this whole process to finishing your pages efficiently with no scraps left over at the end, which is pretty amazing. If you like this theme, however, too, I want to invite you to join me at the Hooray Card Kit Workshop. We're going to take 11 sheets of 12 by 12 paper and the card kit and create this amazing card caddy, as well as all 12 cards inside. Do you believe it? What a deal. This workshop is going to be awesome, so I'll see you in class over there. Have a good one.